Welcome back. Today we've got a turbo BRZ. I've driven supercharged BRZs, I've driven stock BRZs. I have never driven a turbo BRZ, and I'm really excited to find out if the turbo suits the character of the car. Now, the BRZ had one major flaw, and it had nothing to do with its handling characteristics. It's a lot of fun to drive, and it's very rigid. It's a great car for twisty back roads and for a little track day monster on the weekends. But it's got 200 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque. And with this JDL turbo setup that the owner, I'll put his Instagram over here, has installed on this car, it's now making 300 horsepower to the wheels. Yes, it was just dynoed, I think, yesterday, and 232 pound-feet of torque. This one is a 2016 series HyperBlue, obviously, and he's done lots of modifications, but for our purposes, we're gonna talk about power and suspension. It's got KW V3 Coilovers that were just dialed in the other day and aligned. When people offer me their tuned cars to drive, I'm always very grateful, but also quite cautious, because tuned cars, they can have problems. They can be a little excitable. I don't want to blow up somebody's stock block that they just decided to push 15 or 20 pounds of boost through for the thrill of it. This seems like a pretty safe and controlled build, so that's why I agreed to drive it. We've got our JDL Turbo Kit down here and some fun dressing with the carbon fiber. But again, stock block, we're not working with any forged internals, so it's only pushing 10 PSI on map number 3. It also has 2 other conservative maps that you can control on the cruise control switch, which I'll show you inside the car, that push 7.5 PSI and 8 PSI. But you can tell it gets pretty warm in here because that turbo, yeah, it's pretty much melted its way on that on that fan guard. You'll also notice these raised wheels. So this is pretty exciting because the BRZ, also one of the things that made it so playful even with such low horsepower, is that it only had 215 section tires all around, actually, not just rears, it wasn't staggered. This has 255s all around, so we have significantly more grip. And yeah, enough about that. Let's go make some blow-off valve sounds and take it for a drive. Inside, we've got a couple gauge pods to give us oil pressure, boost pressure, and we'll have this, which I actually really like this gauge because it gives us all of our information on oil temperatures, but it still functions as an AC vent. And down here,
continuous recording will now start.
I'm being watched. And down here, we've got our paint-matched fire extinguisher should anything bad happen. Let's hope not. That there's a bit of a learning curve on driving these cars. You've got to adapt to them because they don't have that razor's edge visceral kind of powertrain that you'd find in, say, an S2000. This flywheel is a bit heavy, so it's not necessarily rev hang, but I do feel that I can't just be violently aggressive with my shifts. And I shouldn't be anyway because we're on a stock clutch. So putting all this extra torque, nearly 100 pound-feet more through it, probably not great. We are gonna avoid this. God, I love how flat these things handle. And you're probably gonna hear that beep beep a couple times because I guess we've got a black view camera in here and it has an accelerometer. So anytime I do something silly, I guess we're gonna get warned that I am being aggressive. So I mentioned that you can change the map on the cruise control switch. So there we are in map 3. I can put it down to 2 or 1. Let's leave it at the 10 PSI because you're only here for a short 10 or 15 minutes with me. Don't do it, little Boxster. 986 looking good. I found with the rev matching in this car, that the throttle isn't very sensitive. So it's not one of these crazy tunes where a tiny bit of throttle input gives you like 50% open. I find myself basically flooring it to rev match the car. That's literally pedal to the floor into third gear. And that's totally fine. You don't want your throttle to be so sensitive that you can't modulate it, because at that point, you're gonna kick the tail out when you don't mean to, or you're gonna spool that turbo when you're not prepared for it. However, traction control does kick in quite early on this car, so we are gonna turn it into VSC Sport mode. And if you're a BRZ fan, you already know that to turn off traction control completely, you have to do a pedal dance where you lift up on the e-brake 3 times, press the brake 3 times, do it again, and then you're off. I'll tell you, this car is quick, and if I were to make a suggestion, I'd say pad slap it. It probably needs something a little beefier than these stock pads, because getting this down quickly is now a bit more of a necessity. Power build's nice. Super linear. Oh my goodness, I love it. These engines never inspired too much confidence at the high revs, just because they don't sound great, and I know that's subjective, but yeah, it's not the most refined, this little Boxer 4. But with the turbo, I feel more encouraged to creep up to that red line. I feel like it's more welcoming, just because we're building power as we do it. Great to feel that rear end with torque. Oof, it's not something I'm used to in a BRZ. Of course, we're going to respect the drive. We do have quite a bit of power in a light car. Doesn't mean we get to just do whatever we want on public roads. And it didn't really lose the low end. I mean, not that it had a lot of low end grunt to begin with, but you know, sometimes when you turbo cars, you change the character so much that they're just not fun anymore, and it's kind of a shame, but this is great. This is actually really usable. There's not like a huge turbo shove. It's just a nice linear graduation to more power, and then it just keeps pulling. We found a BRZ friend, and I just think I saw a goat. That's a goat. Okay, there's a goat crossing the road. I'll show you what I mean about the little bit of, I don't know, rev hang, I guess you'd call it. I do feel like I've got to wait. I've got to wait just a fraction of a second before I slam into the next gear. Now, could you? Of course you could. Of course you could just slam gears. Of course anyone could just do that. That's not good for a car though. You got to let the car tell you what it wants. And this doesn't necessarily want to just be slammed into gears. So what I'd recommend, right, if you were to make a more lively character for this powertrain, couple simple things, right? Lightweight flywheel or lighter weight flywheel. Don't go crazy. That gets annoying in traffic. And a more aggressive upgraded clutch that can handle more torque, because manufacturers, they don't give you much extra when it comes to clutches. And Volkswagen owners can attest to this, because you put any more power on a Volkswagen clutch and it's gone. I think this car's like deceivingly fast because it's so well composed. Yes! But you didn't buy your BRZ just to go fast in a straight line. You bought it to go around corners. This thing is no slouch, man. Definitely get yourself in trouble with this power, but 255s all around. These tires, just that extra grip goes such a long way. I really want to take this out to Palmer. This would be so much fun on a racetrack. I love the power delivery. It would do well with a throttle map tune, actually, now that I think about it, just because it's hard to heel toe it. You've got to give so much throttle to get what you want out of it. Wow, what a turn in. in front of us. Man, I just want to live up top in this car. It's fun. Yeah, it's funny when you're in a BRZ and you're like, I'm going too fast. It's just not a feeling I usually have in a BRZ. I think I was expecting the power delivery to be a little more abrupt, like, ooh, and the turbo kicked in. I don't really like that. It's fun when it's a power car. It's fun when you're like, oh my God, I've got this big power Supra, and you're going in a straight line, and then boom, it all comes and nails you in the jaw. That is entertaining. But when you're talking about a car that's designed to be able to, you know, modulate mid-corner and really make fine adjustments to get the most out of it on a racetrack or a windy back road, you don't want that. You want something that's progressive, and this setup is really nice. This is a nice balanced approach to a forced induction BRZ. I like this a lot. We've got bumps though, and when you've got a low car on stiff springs and dampers, you need to be aware of that stuff. So maybe it'll show up on the dyno sheet, but from what I'm doing, and I haven't really been paying that much attention, I'm not noticing like the dreaded torque dip, because it's got so much more torque that even if it does have a little dip in torque in that mid-range, I'm not noticing it. It's not apparent to me. Whereas in the standard car, it's pretty obvious that there's a change in torque when you're on it in a straight line. This car, it just, you know, it's building and building. So maybe there still is some little torque dip. I don't notice it if it exists. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And thanks to Devin for schooling me on this Turbo BRZ build. Let's go this way. I mean, I really appreciate it when people let me drive their babies. He obviously has put a lot of energy and love into this car, and it shows. It's a really well-built thing. I'm so happy I got to drive it. And yeah, the BRZ with 100 extra horsepower starts to make a hell of a lot more sense than the standard car. And of course, don't forget to respect the drive, watch out for police parked over on the side of the road, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, I'm not gonna give Subaru and Toyota a pass on the 86 platform because, you know what? It's still a little bit bullshit that it only had 200 horsepower and it needed just a little more, not like a lot more, like a little more. Like 250 would have really made this car, no one would have complained. No one would have had issues with it.